Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Motivation Monday, June 19th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. I accidentally scheduled both of these gentlemen's interviews at the same time, and they're both going to be joining me here at the same time. They're both legendary in their own right, and I'm super excited to have them both here with me, Fashion Dolls. As you guys can see, there might be a little change. I'm loving the blonde. I like the blonde. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Again, I do not like to stay the same. I'm always evolving and changing up my look. So very special thanks to my makeup artist here at Style by Stevie, Melanie Nella, my Bridges, for making sure that we are right. So without further ado, let's welcome our very special guest. The first one, D.Malik Beckford. And hopefully Jonathan Jazz Anderson should be joining us as well too. All right? Hello. Welcome to the Dollhouse. How are
I'm fine. How are you?
you? I'm doing wonderful, and it's such a pleasure to have you here.
I'm so blessed to be here on this great day of freedom.
Yes, Juneteenth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys didn't know, Juneteenth is everywhere. And I put up my post today. So before we get into this interview, how has 2023 been for you so far?
Okay, 2023 so far has been, um, I want to say it's a reminder. It's a year of reminding me of my gifts, of my blessings, and of just taking that chance to really share myself with the world. And so I'm really blessed for today and this opportunity and for your platform to speak and just to get to know about what's been going on for me, because this game, this acting game that I'm in, this career is something that takes a lifetime. And I'm just blessed to have been in it as long as I have and to continue.
And you and our other guest today, hopefully you'll be joining us. I just sent him the live. Jonathan, you both, when introducing you guys, I said you guys are both legends in your own right. Now, I did a little research on you. You're a Sagittarius, and you were born in December 14th, and you did the voice of Bobby on Little Bill, which came out in what, 1999? That's a little backstory on D. Malik here. And you went on to be on hit shows such as Blue Bloods, and you also did Pootie Tang as well too, which is a cult classic comedy that everyone knows. And so you both are legends in your own right. So where did the passion for acting begin? At what age?
Okay, that story is super interesting. I was 5 years old. My teacher at the time made me the MC of our graduation services and ceremonies, and my mom found the theater program that was free in the city called Tada Theater, and I took classes there. In that same summer that I started taking classes there, I actually did my first ever performance, which was the first Kids Showtime at the Apollo. And I was the first winner of that program where they changed it to having kids perform, and back in 1995. And that's actually on my other Instagram. I have a video, it's on YouTube, of me and Steve Harvey chatting it away. He was like, this kid ain't going along with nothing we rehearsed. And I kind of stick to that. I'm an improvisation person as well. So that was my first, I guess I was 5, 6 years old. I was 5 years old when I did the Apollo, and then we continued into finding free programs in the city because, you know, you can be priced out of artistic training very much so, but luckily in New York City, there are a lot of programs where young people can go and get that artistic training that will get them to the profession. And luckily it happened for me kind of quickly, but also the lifetime of it, there are ebbs and flows in the career, and so you have to learn how to deal with that as well. And so that's where I started, and I don't think I ever stopped considering myself an actor since that moment.
And you went on. You're also a producer as well too.
Yeah.
So who were some of your influences growing up in New York?
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go with the people that were in my life first, and then we'll go on. So the very first person that I saw become like famous, right? Jordan Peele. He was the very first house manager in my play, the very first play that I ever did in my life, which was called Skates at Tagayu Theater. And I would watch him, I would be on the stage and I would watch him make the house speech. And then like 2 or 3 years later, he was on Mad TV. And I would watch that as a kid. And I was like, whoa, I know that man. Oh my goodness. So it was possible then. Um, and so Jordan Peele, and then seeing his career, how it's grown, he's been a big influence. And then people in my life, like I've had my mentor, Jamal Joseph, he just produced and was a major contributor on the Tupac documentary. And I was in his theater company, and I recently served as the artistic director of Impact Repertory Theater. And so it uh, people in my life who've done it and who's also shown that they are multidisciplinarians is something that I'm like, wow, that this is what I know I can do, even though it seems like mystifying at time, like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. How can you focus on making sure that you are producing and creating the art that you want to see? And so through that program, Impact Repertory Theater, I found the identity of being an artivist, which is an actor or an artist who promotes their art and activism together. And so that's a major part of what I've been doing. And recently, I met these two gentlemen who were producing and wrote a program for Audible, and they needed me to be the casting director. We just met in my improv class. It was an amazing experience of just going with the flow. And then I became the casting director on this project that's coming out on August 10th called Can You Dig It? I'm also the associate producer on that project as well because I was advocating for myself in my artistry, where I said, hey, brothers, I'm doing a little bit more than casting. I'm actually kind of the associate producer, and it would also showcase some other skills that I'm leaning into. And they said, yes, you are. You've helped us do X, Y, and Z. And I was able to cast my friends. I was able to meet new people in New York, connect with people in my agency or other management programs that I was trying to, so it was just something where I'm learning how to play the game in a different way and not always going with that audition, callback, booking grind. Like that's one way of doing it. But the other way of doing it is going into your other skill sets, your other passions, and promoting that and seeing what happens with that. And I was able to act on that project as well. So I'm really excited about that. Chuck D is the narrator and the executive producer on that as well. And it's just been a dream project. Like that started in September of 2022. We recorded it on my birthday last December, and we just had 2 events that was amazing. So I'm just living my blessings and excited to see what comes of that and what comes of all the other opportunities that I can just sort of find my way into from that experience.
And I'm reading the comments. I'm gonna read some of the
Ooh.
comments off to you. Can You Dig It podcast is here. Make sure you follow them. They said the success of Can You Dig It? It is directly connected to your involvement, DMB. And thank you. Straight Line Dark Heart says, good on you taking your talented friends with you when you level up. And Chuck D is the ish. And she wants to know also, do you like theater better than screen work? Because that is right. You have done a lot of theater work, and you've done one of my favorites, which is West Side Story. And that's
Wow.
a classic. So, yes, I've done my research, honey, so I know.
Yeah, so
So, go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry. Yes, I was
Okay, yeah.
saying that you've done a lot of stage, you've done a lot of theater work. So, which would you prefer?
It's so interesting. Right now, there's like a looming strike happening in the business, and
Yeah.
with how my representation and all of those things are working out, I'm learning how to put myself out there in whatever I want to do. Like one of my best friends from high school and one of my best friends from college were both on the a tour, one of the tours of Hamilton as the two leads, right? And then I watched one of my, one of my best friends from high school who was in Ragtime with me at LaGuardia, which was the show I did after West Side Story. He's now the lead on Broadway as Burr in Hamilton, which is just incredible to me. And I watched him do it. And hey, Simone, she said I'm awesome. You're awesome too. Thanks, Simone. And Tiny, oh my goodness, I gotta talk about Tiny. She's dope. So we'll definitely get into those two situations. Thank y'all for showing up. And so yeah, those experiences of, being someone who was trained in musical theater from 6, and being someone who's like, oh, I'm not the best singer and all those type of things, learning how to accept your gifts. I have friends who tell me all the time, you're a singer. I'm like, stop it. Stop playing with me. I'm not a singer. And when you tell yourself that, you start to believe that. And then you show up in rooms with that belief, that limiting belief in yourself. And learning how to divorce myself from those has pushed me forward. So like I said, I'm multidisciplinarian. I'll go to where the job or where the project that's most passionate for me is. I've trained in theater my entire life. I went to Shakespeare's Globe and studied Shakespeare for a year in my conservatory program at Rutgers. Shout out to Rutgers. We have a lot of actors who come out of Rutgers who are just like, whew. And so, yeah, I was actually going to hit up my people and suggest a play that I want to audition for because I heard that they're casting. So I'm excited to do that. So I would say as an actor, I go to where the work is. As someone who's a creator, I'm interested in creating more theater, especially for the youth. I think that youth theater, there's not a lot of writing or a lot of creation of theater for youth. And so that's where I'm leaning towards in terms of theater. Specifically talking about my experiences of being a latchkey kid who took myself to auditions and then also took myself to my theater program at 7 from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Like I was taking the train to go there by myself because who's just like, who's going to take me? Sidebar, I had someone who would meet me on Bergen, but sometimes she wouldn't. And so we would just take the train in. And so I love theater. I love film. My first job ever was on a cartoon show. I was 8 years old. Like you said, that was 25 years ago. So I've been in the game for 25 years in a professional level, and it's time to flex that muscle, you know what I mean, and really step out. So wherever the job leads, wherever the project goes, and wherever I could put my full heart, that's really what I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in taking a job that isn't, fully representational of whatever we're talking about. I really want to make sure that the characters are three-dimensional, that they're real, and that we are, not everything has to have a message, but that we get something from it, that it moves us, at least moves us. It doesn't have to mean much, but it needs to move us, Because a lot of times we go into theater like, it has to mean this and it has to showcase this. It's like, did you feel change? Did you feel good? And that's something that I want to create in art more.
And not only that, but representation is key. Now, you and our other guest, Jonathan, are both from New York. He attended Rutgers in New York as well, too. So you two both have that in common. But I'm going to go back to what you just said, which is making sure that we showcase everything, making sure that the characters are three-dimensional. And this happens to a lot of actors, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys that are actors out there in the audience can attest to this, where they are typecasted in one specific role. And it's just like, I'm gonna use one of my girlfriends as an example. I always pick on her. Shout outs to my girl, Ro Underwood. She did Raising Kanan, and she's went on to do a bunch of array of work throughout her career. So I went and I've watched some of her clips, and I said, girl, you have range. So that's what people are looking for, especially producers, directors. They want the actors to have range and not be casted as one specific role, because that does happen with actors and or actors for actresses of color.
True. I remember a few years back, Khalil Kane was doing an exercise, a class. It was called The Responsibility of Image. It was a summer course that was through Community Works and I think City College. And a few actors were in it that I know. And we were just discussing just the long lineage of the not the archetypes, the stereotypes of images that we see in Black, cinema, like the mammy, the violent Black buck, and all of these different situations that come up. And we discuss in detail how we see these images. Also, the one that Spike Lee created, the Magic Negro, right? Like we see that, like, Bruce Almighty. We see these type of characters. One, as an actor, how do we take these characters that might be two-dimensional on the page and create a three-dimensional person out of that to honor more than just, broad stripes? But also just sort of how do we, encourage people to develop more for us and to see Black people not only in the situations that we've seen us in, to see queer people in situations not only that we've seen queer people in, right? Like, how do we become more inclusive without being after school special? You know what I mean? How do we become more real? And so those are questions that, as an artist, I love to talk about. So yeah, I would love to see someone write a piece about Fred Hampton and Rainbow. I think the world needs to be reminded. Yeah, there was a whole movie about Fred Hampton the other day, a couple years ago with Daniel Kaluuya. That was pretty interesting. Did you see that? That was awesome. I love that film. Daniel was a really great actor. A lot of people talk about the British Black actor thing. I have lots to say about that too. That's fun. Also, there were a couple of people who had mentioned something. Tiny. I worked with Tiny recently at Drama Club, which is an awesome organization. I'm no longer working with them, but it was an amazing time to go and learn how to teach in different environments. We were teaching in the different juvenile detention centers in the city, and we would teach improv, and we would have improv shows, and it's a company that's been going for a while. Tiny's story is amazing. She was my coworker, really showed me the ropes of how to, work in those environments, but also how to inspire. And so we've created a lot of improv shows together, and she's someone who I think is really special in this world of, like, redemption, but also just sort of like showing people, how to, a different life. Like, there's so much that happened in that, in those situations that we were teaching in that are like, mind-boggling, but she handled it with such a great even keel and taught me how to, really kind of flex my teaching muscles in a different way. And so that was a really awesome experience. So I'm just happy that she pulled up and she showed up. And then Simone was a stage manager for a project that I did last year that was really awesome. And she's just an awesome artist as well. So it's just, I love community. I love building community. So when it took us a while to get on this live, but when you showed up, I was like, wow, this is dope. I feel so honored. So I again want to thank you for being on this platform, because it's great to just have a moment where I get to reflect, but also get to forecast as well.
You've had a 25-year career span. You mentioned that in the beginning of your interview. How does that feel looking back now? Because you started off doing the voice of Little Bill at 8 years old, and now you went on to be this big actor and coach to so many others. To have a 25-year career span, how does that feel looking back in time?
I feel blessed. I really looked at that number earlier this year when I noticed it, and I'm really slightly into numerology. I think numbers mean things and patterns and all of that, and so there was a lot that I learned through seeing that figure of, they say it takes 20 years to be a New Yorker if you're not a New Yorker, but I was born and raised in New Yorker, so I've been doing I'm just, like I said, I'm blessed. I'm thankful that I can continue to do it. I am thankful for the valleys, Like when it's the lowest of low moments in the career, I'm so thankful because that builds a world of information. I can tap into so many different resources of my being because I've lived, I've had experiences. And so that was, you know, as someone who wanted to be an actor, who studied acting from such a young age, you start to have the identity that you're an actor, and then you forget to live. You know, you forget to live, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm 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 happy to, you know, to have the breath of it because it creates a relaxation. It creates an exhale now that I didn't have when I was first coming out of the conservatory, when it was like, I gotta get it, I gotta get it, I gotta get it. That was like 12 years ago. I'm like, I gotta get it. I've been doing this for 12 years. You know what I mean? Now it's like the double, and I'm like, dude, let it come to you, but also stay hungry, stay going after it. And so, yeah, I'm just thankful and blessed to see 25 years and to know that I have 50 more, you know? And what is that going to look like? You know, 50 plus more, you know, God willing.
So, if you could go back and tell yourself, your 8-year-old self or your younger self something, what advice would you give your younger self?
Hmm. I would say 8-year-old self, I think 8-year-old Malik was fearless. You know what I mean? There were moments, you know, I would tell him though to really focus on fun and family. You know what I mean? I think I was at that time, but there was a moment of like, I can't even really remember most of the experiences at 8. I would say my teenage self, when things got to be a little weird and kind of like, what's going on here? I would say, I would say stick to the program. Like, you know what, there were moments where I kind of was like, I don't want to audition anymore. I've been doing this, I've been saying no. And you know what I mean? When I was younger, I was like, experienced that at like 15, 14, you know what I mean? And other actors we get into, and then I experienced it again at like 27. So like, I would say to, to remember to wake up every day with that same, you know, childlike wonder that you had when you were going to 1515 Broadway to audition for Little Bill. Like, I remember those days. So, like, remember what that experience of that professional version of myself, which was a brand new version of, okay. And I see that a lot with actors who work consistently. They just have this, like, especially when they're truly genuine, just this wide open, interested look. They're more interested in others and in the world around them versus
Right.
trying to be interesting. And so I'm learning how to really live in that interest level of being interested in everything. So continue that energy. That's what I would tell myself.
Definitely. Definitely. What is the funniest thing that has happened, funny or memorable moment that has happened to you while on set? Because you've done on stage theater and you've done on set television. So, what's the funniest, memorable thing that you can remember throughout your career?
Whew. There's a few. Let's see. The first one that came to mind, which was like embarrassingly funny and just sort of like weird, was this weird college play that I did. And they made me come on stage with like, they were like, you're comfortable going on stage naked, right? I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not doing that. And so like, I had to like, they were like, well, it says the, and mind you, I was playing a Russian sailor. They was like, it says the Russian sailor comes on, not as his trousers. I was like, well, we're gonna have to wear boxes. It doesn't say he's naked. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to wear something. And we ended up doing a dance belt or something like that. So it was kind of embarrassing, but also funny. And then I would say, oh gosh, I'm coming into embarrassment. There was a moment when I was like in a play, and all my friends remember this. And this is like, we were in this play, all of my youthful friends at Tada, and I was in the middle of a song. This was like my first big part, and I forgot the song. I just forgot the song in the middle of the song, and I started ad-libbing the song. The band was looking at me like, what's going on? And I remember there was a moment where they were doing late seating and they had a flashlight showing the flashlight. And I think someone like flashlight in my eyes. That's the excuse I made, and I stuck with it for 20 years. And yeah, that was one of those moments where it was just like I'll never forget everyone just looking at me afterwards, like just making fun of me. And people still make fun of me to this day about that. So I think that those just taught me to roll with the punches, and I guess that's why I love improv as well. And because it's just like whatever's the moment, go with it and get to the end. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what you got to do.
And a lot of people think that doing live is easy. No, it's not, you guys. This is live right now here in real time. Whereas if you're on set, of course you got to go by your script, you got to go by your lines and everything like that. But when you are in front of an audience and that director says, "Okay, go time," that if you mess up, the audience can catch on to it easily in real time. So that's the difference between doing television and stage. So it is definitely a lot of work. So looking back then, you've achieved that, you've conquered that, and you've overcame it. What advice would you give to up-and-coming actors who are now going into theater, who are studying Shakespeare, and, of course, West Side Story, which is one of my favorites, so many others? What advice would you give to them?
Wow, so interesting. I was recently I went to a play. My sister was a producer on it, which was awesome. It was a reading, and I was at an after party event for the play, and these two students that were at LaGuardia when I was teaching there, they walked in, and there was another student that I was visiting to see in the play. One of my really good friends, Travis Rayburn, he was in the play. He's a dope actor as well. So we were, it was interesting because I taught at the school 10 years after I graduated from the school. So I was a full-time teacher there for a year, where I was teaching in the drama program that I came from. And I got really good at just sort of like just offering my experience, but also not prescribing my experience on someone else. And so I think that's a really good thing in terms of, art and advice and being a coach, is just sort of like talking to the person that is there. But to just general everyone, I would say stay hungry for, for opportunities to share yourself. But also, if you're going into it as a business person as well, understand that it is a business as well. So if that's where your goals are, then I would say tailor your artistic training to the business that you want to do. But if your goal is just for artistic expression, have fun, and stay hungry. And really, one thing that I learned that was really just sort of like a thing that I could say was a teacher when I was in London. He told us not to memorize the script, but to learn it, which is a different thing. We try to memorize our lines and we memorize it so then we say it one way. But if you learn it, you can now just live it any way that you wish. And so he said, he was like, know it. It was something about mean it and learn it versus memorizing it and doing it, right? You got to mean it and then you got to learn it. Or you got to learn it and then you got to mean it, rather. That's what it is. So learn everything. Don't just learn your lines, learn the whole thing. And then you got to mean what you say in the moment that you're saying it. And I think that's just how I simplify when I coach people teaching acting. Just learn it and mean it, man. Learn it and mean it.
Absolutely. Now, you've said artistic visions. You guys know this is a fashion platform, and I'm always evolving, changing up my look. I'm curious to know, how would you describe your own personal style, D.Malik? How would you describe it in 3 words?
It's like a mix of like, I see myself as as an actor who can do period pieces. Like that's going to be my bag. When people realize the magic that is me, but people do realize it. And so I'm excited to like step into that. But what I lean more into is Afrocentric style clothing, I love anything that is sort of 60s or type of that period, maybe a 30s. I like suits, but also 90s. I love that splash of 90s flair. When I was on the Apollo, I had a Kango. I still rock my Kangos. I love those. So I think it's a mixture now with sort of like Afrocentric meets like a 60s and 90s retro flair. So that's where I kind of, that's what I am envisioning is what my addition to how I dress and how I showcase myself as someone who is not the most fashion forward person, but I think I do have some style.
And it's great to evolve. And how does it feel to have, do you have somewhat of a creative input on what you want your characters to look like?
Oh wow, yeah, there was this really dope character that I played a few years back. I did Zoom Man and the Sign, and my friend, she directed it, and her whole vision was dope. And our costume designer, there's a really cool picture of me, just sort of like in this fatigue. It was the first time I put extension in my hair for a character. Like I had like faux locks in my head, looking like Killmonger, and it was just like that was. I had to wear those for like a whole month, and it was just sort of like, yeah, dude, go for it. Like I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go all out here. I'm gonna go to the next level. So that character taught me a lot about collaboration. Also, there was a time where I was background on something, and one of the actors was like, "They got you in that, bro. Now you gotta like tell them to put you in something different." And I was like, "Wow, yeah, maybe I can." There's a level of not wanting to rock the boat as an actor, but there's also a level of, like I said, advocating for yourself so that you have that responsibility of your image that's being put out there because it's you, it's you, and you should represent you as well as the character in the story. But I think the story is first, so there's a lot there. So yeah, I like collaborating, and I also can sit back and let other people do their vision because that's their job. They're the ones who are doing that part of it.
And that's amazing. What do you feel are some of the essential qualities that make a great actor?
Oh man. Oh wow. That's so interesting. Let's see. I think what the essential qualities that make a great actor, I said they're interested in the world around them more than they are wanting to be interesting. And I fight that. That's something that's a hard battle with the ego. Like you can want to make your work interesting, but 9 times out of 10, what I've seen that what becomes interesting is when you are pouring it out. And so and focus on that part of it. Because once you give, it comes back. And so I think actors who intrinsically know that and feel that, there's so many actors who are just so generous. A lot of my friends, the greatest actor I know right now is Carrie Young. Like, the best. She is the best. 2-time Tony nominated. Boom, boom, one after another. And I met Cara when we were auditioning for SUNY Purchase back in the day. And my mom was like, I drive her home to her mom. It was just one of those things. So community. Interested in the community, interested in the text, and someone who can understand that they are the channel for the experience. And really, I'm more into the experiential qualities of actors. So someone who can really be experiential. That's what I find in great actors. Someone who really takes us on a journey.
And viewers at home could be watching the film or watching in real time. It's just like, well, wow, the character that has been through this situation, I've been through as well too. In real time, do you get that a lot through some of your performances?
Yeah, I think there are moments where people really feel different things. When I was preparing to go to London, I wrote my own one-man show. Now, at first, had a date and a place, and I had a concept. And then 3 weeks before the show, I was like, I think I have to write a show. And so I wrote this, being where I came from my 2 years of acting training at Rutgers, crafting and creating was something that was taught to us, devising creation. So I trusted myself in that aspect. And what came out was this 25-page or so one-man show called Master Plan. And it was one of those things where you have to just go with it. And I've learned that some of the reasons why I would say a few years back why I didn't want to share, I wasn't in a place where I could share my art, was because there were other things happening. And I wasn't truly answering those and going with it. I was getting a master's in teaching. I was doing other things. And I've learned now that there's a balance, and you have to balance the creative side. You have to balance there's so much of a balance that needs to happen. And so, yeah, I find that putting yourself out there is something that is important.
Do you ever find yourself getting caught up in some of your characters? Because sometimes that happens to a lot of actors being in this business where they literally have to detox the character out of their system. They've gotten so wrapped up in the character where it's just like, okay, I got to get it out of my system now. I'm no longer the character. I'm D.Malik.
It's interesting. I think one of the things that I'm really concerned about is safety for actors emotionally. Um, I've been in situations where there wasn't a space held for actors' safety and mental health. I think that's really important, especially now that we're waking up to all of those things. I do not consider myself a method actor. I have a friend who we had a conversation about this recently. He said, I'm a method actor. I was like, I am not. I don't need that for me. Like, it's all in my imagination. But what works for them works for them. For me, I tend to enter the world through movement and physicality. And so there's a level of, in massage therapy, there's this thing called hara, where you put your energy back into the ground. First, you need to be in a centered space before you can go ahead and do the treatment, and then you bring that energy back down. And so I kind of leave it on the stage, if you will, or leave it in the space that it's there. And when I walk out, I'm me again, but like I leave it in the space because it's a sacred time for me when I go into, when it's action, when it's lights up, it becomes sacred. And so then once it's lights off and it's, or cut, then I leave it there. That's sort of how I see it.
So turn it on, turn it off.
It's not
exactly
always easy, but if you really center yourself and meditate out of it, I think that, you can give yourself the time you need to relax, and I say leave it in the space. Whereas if you bring it to another space, then it becomes difficult. That's why I'm really concerned about where I rehearse sometimes. If it's emotionally, like I can't have that in certain areas because it will just be in that space.
Absolutely. All right, fashion dolls. Y'all already know what time it is. It's time to have some fun here with D.Malik.
Oh,
Ladies
snap.
and gentlemen. Yes. So we are going to do two games. All right. The first one is called Turn the Tables. Not turn the tables, but etc. Where I give you two options. It's sort of like our version of this or that, and you have to tell me which you prefer. And the next one is called the Rapid Five. You have to tell me five things you can't live without. All right. So I'm going to give D.Malik here two choices, and he has to tell me which does he prefer. And you guys that are watching as well too can weigh in also. All right, so I'm going to give him two choices. Here are the first choices. Well, since your 25-year career span, which would you prefer, TV series or movies?
TV series.
Okay. Here's the next one. And I think a lot of us can relate to this one with this weather that we're having, all right? Arctic or tropical?
Arctic or tropical? I'm a cold brother. I was born in December, but I gotta say tropical because my people from Jamaica.
All right. Okay. Okay, we skipped that one. All right, video games or books?
Oh, darn. Don't judge me. It's gonna be video games. Although I want it to be books, it shifted to video games in my 20s. I love the relaxation of it. Video games, but I'm reading more books nowadays. Video games, though. Video games.
Okay. Trivia night or board game night? Which would you prefer?
Ooh, I used to host trivia back in the day, but I'm super competitive, and not a lot of my friends do trivia. So let's go with board game night. I think it's more social.
Okay. Audiobook or ebook?
Whoa, that's the most meta question because those are both things that I'm like, audiobook, audiobook.
All right. Live in South Korea or Japan?
Oh, my brother, if he was still on, my brother was on a little while ago. He loves Japan, but I think I like Korean barbecue. Ah, let's go with, I'm going with South Korea.
All right. Taj Mahal or Coliseum?
I've never been to the Taj Mahal, been to the Coliseum, so Taj Mahal.
All right. Travel alone or travel with friends? Which would you prefer?
Alone.
That adventure, the best experience. Analog or digital? Which would you prefer?
Ooh. Analog. Analog.
Now, this one might be a little controversial for my candy lovers out here, right?
Okay.
M&M's or Kit Kat?
M&M's.
You and my mom. The yellow pack or the brown pack? Which do you like?
Oh, M&M peanuts. So much better. I feel like you're getting something from it. It's not just chocolate.
Okay. Here's the next one.
Okay.
Have a vegetable garden or a home theater? Vegetable garden? I couldn't hear you when I
Oh, I'm
said
sorry. Yeah, my auntie started calling me, and I was like, Auntie, vegetable garden for sure. Vegetables. My grandmother used to grow tomatoes in her backyard in Brooklyn, so vegetable garden.
my father does too, yeah.
Really?
And my grandmother.
That's dope.
Yes.
Green thumbs.
Yes, and my mom. It's like it runs in my family. My grandmother, my mom, and then my dad, they all have gardens. And they plant their vegetables and stuff. And it's the perfect time because it rained earlier today and the plants need water. So it tied in perfect. All right. Here's the last one. Now, this one might be controversial for all my Marvel heads out here, all right? Batman or Superman?
Batman or Superman? Oh man, Black Panther. No, I'm kidding. But since you said that, I will go with I like Batman. I like Batman. Yeah, Batman.
All right. And that is etc. Fashion Dolls, this or that, our version of this or that.
I like
All
that
right.
game. That was
Steve
dope.
has to tell us 5 things that he can't live without. It can be his family, friends, his career goals, passions, whatever he thinks about that he can't live without. All right. You have to give us 5 things you can't live without.
5 things I can't live without. Okay. Um. My family, for sure. I'm family oriented, for sure. Um. Then I would say smoothies. I love smoothies. Um, Cooking. I love to cook. So if I couldn't cook all the time, I would be kind of out of it. What else? What else? What else? What else? Um, I want to say games. Like I like to play, like adventure. So some form of adventure games, or being outside doing something fun. Spades. You know what I mean? Let's put spades in there as a subcategory. Can't live without spades. Spades is fun. You gotta play spades. And the final one would be Oof, oof. Biking. I love to bike.
Very active. I see you like and you like your games as well too, so it ties in perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. I bike. I just did the New York City bike tour for the first time, and it was 37 miles. It was fun, but my legs hurt, and I got some GoPro footage that I'm excited to edit. So I'm excited about that.
All right, fashion dolls. That is the rapid fire and etc. Before we close out, now you're also the associate producer for the Can You Dig It podcast. Tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up.
Oh yeah, thank you for that opportunity. Um, Can You Dig It podcast? Like I said, it was a gift from the artistic, gods, if you will. I met one of our executive producers, Pete, and he's a writer as well. He was looking for young artists. He wanted to be very community oriented. I met him at the door downtown. Actually, I was doing workshops down there, and we continued our conversation. He said, "I need a casting director." I read the project. I fell in love with the project. There was trying to get Chuck D pinned into it. So it just became. I just got wrapped into this world, and it's a beautiful story. So let me tell you a little bit about the story. We just was at a street dedication for our main character, Cornell Black Benji Benjamin, who was a young brother who was unfortunately murdered in 1971 in the Bronx, which was the impetus for the Gang Peace Treaty, the whole Avenue Peace Treaty, which we've seen dramatized in a fictional sense in the Warriors movie. That whole Gang Peace Summit actually happened in New York City 50 years ago, well, 50 some odd years ago. And it was something that changed the Bronx and changed how things were done, and could be founded as the I would say the conception of hip hop. Hip hop wasn't born until 2 years later, but it was sort of the conception of hip hop that moment. It became where people can travel freely. So we interviewed a lot of people, the people who were actually involved, and there's some dramatized sections in the beginning and end of each episode. It's 5 episodes coming out on August 10th on Audible. So I'm really excited about that. We were just at a party for Audible at the Tribeca Film Festival. We got to take pictures and talk about it with other people. And we're excited about the rollout. And I'm just excited to be a part of the team and to, those brothers came on with the Can You Dig It official website just to show support for this. And so I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate them for seeing the value in me, but also for helping me understand the value in myself in a way that expanded my whole career. I now have an associate producer and another casting credit on my IMDb that I didn't have before, and it puts me in a different position to have different conversations and for whatever I want to do. And so I'm blessed and I'm excited for everyone to hear it. There's a lot of great performances, a lot of dope actors, and I got to perform and I voiced a real person. I'm going to be making a post about that because that was a lot of fun. I actually listened to this brother make a speech at the whole Avenue Peace Treaty, and I just patterned my voice after that. And, this was my 25-year career of having to do voiceovers, and I haven't really done a voiceover since that moment. So it was just like returning back and being blessed to just to know how to go. Oh wait, y'all saw me as this character. Actually, I want to play this character, and my good friend to play that character. Just being able to do that. So everyone, tune in. I'm excited for it, and thank you again for this opportunity.
You are so welcome. August 10th, ladies and gentlemen, Can You Dig It? And also, I'm going to go back for a minute because it is the 50th anniversary of the celebration of hip hop. Hip hop music and the culture has impacted us all. And it's perfect because it's Juneteenth, the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And D.Malik celebrated his 25-year career span, which is amazing. So all of these great numbers, all of these great projects, make sure you guys go and remember that. Now, tomorrow starts a new series, a new beginning. Me and my new sidekick or co-host, Manny Killer, will be joining me tomorrow for our new series, which we will do every other Tuesday, called Tete a Tete. And we just have conversations. We talk mental health. We're going to be talking about just life in general. So many things. I can't wait. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. We have a great lineup this week. And Friday is Girls' Day Out. Or shall I say Girls' Day In? Because I'll be in, Tina will be out. We are going to be doing our sixth collaboration. I'm going to be doing my Bath and Body Works semi-annual sale haul, and it is massive. You do not want to miss. I have so many products that I'm going to be showing you guys, so many scents. So make sure you guys tune in Friday. I can't wait to haul that with Tina. But we have a great lineup. The lineup is up, and again, can you dig it? August 10th on Audible. Make sure you guys please go and check it out. And D.Malik, let everyone know where they can follow you.
DMalikBeckford.com is my website, and at DMalikBeckford on Instagram.
All right, fashion dolls. And I'm going to leave you guys with the final word of the day, which comes from my favorite singer of all time, Beyonce. She says this: I don't like to gamble, but if there's one thing I'm willing to bet on, it's myself. Be willing to bet on yourself in the race and put yourself first. Make sure, because we give so much of ourselves to everybody, make sure that you are pouring into number one and giving yourself love and nourishment and healing as well. And D. Malik, thank you for coming to the dollhouse. I had such a great time. I don't know where Jonathan is, but we're gonna do something. We're gonna set it up again where all three of us can come
Okay.
back.
It'll be all great. And thank you again for this opportunity. This is an amazing platform. Keep doing what you do. You're a light. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, D. Malik Beckford. Take care, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Tete a tete.
All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.